Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we start with the walk cycle. The walk cycle is one of those exercises that it's super famous. Everyone has done an walk cycle whenever they're learning 2D or 3D animation, but it's also one of the most complicated and it's one of the most tricky ones to get right. So I'm going to show you my technique to do it and the principles that I like to follow. I am in a new scene here in Maya with our project already set. I am gonna, of course, create a reference, which in this case is gonna reference the Ultimate Walker, which is the rig that we're gonna be using. I'm gonna go here into lighting, change it to two-side lighting to see both of the elements right there. And now I'm gonna go into my right view, so that this guy is facing forward. It's actually facing backwards. You can see here, like if I were to create a cube, you can see that C is to the other side. It's really not that big of a deal, but if you want to make sure that everything is facing the proper direction, we could grab the main curve right there and just rotate this minus 180 degrees, and it's going to be exactly the same. So in your source images folder, you're going to go here to View, Image Plane, Import Image, and you're going to import this Walk Cycle Inspiration Animator Survival Kit. And this walk cycle is probably the one that everyone has used all the time, or whenever you learn a walk cycle you like, or we used to reference this one. This is from Richard Williams, the guy we talked about before. And I'm just going to scale this to the other side. So I'm going to go minus... Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to keep it like this. I'm just going to bring this guy back to 0. And the reason I want to do this is usually in movies, television, video games, walking towards the right means forward movement, and walking towards the left means like backward movement. But the same principles apply no matter where you're walking. So as you can see here, what's going to happen is we're actually going to go through a cycle, meaning that the first pose and the last pose are going to be the same. And then all of the poses that we're going to go through are going to be the same, but on the opposite side of the body, right? So there's only 4 poses that you need to learn in order to make sure that you master a walk cycle. And the poses are contact pose, which is the first pose that you're going to see. And in the contact pose, it's the point where both of your feet are touching the ground. Walking is, and this might sound a little bit stupid, but it's kind of like the reality. Walking is falling forward and then catching yourself before you hit the ground. When you're a baby, you learn how to walk and you fall a lot, but it's just the process, right? Eventually, as an adult, you rarely fall when you're walking. But if you were running like really fast on like an inclined street or like a hill or a park, it would be very easy to lose your balance and just fall over, right? So, and the reason is we throw our body forward and then we catch it with our legs. And then we just keep doing it. We keep regaining our balance. And that way we just like move forward. So the contact point is the point through the walk cycle, through the step in which both of our feet are touching the ground. This is very important. Then we're going to go into what's called the down pose. And on the down pose, as you can see here, we're going to be having a sort of anticipation. Remember the principles of animation. We're going to have an anticipation that's going to propel us forward into one of my favorite poses, which is the passing position. The pass position is when you've propelled yourself forward and you start dragging your feet all the way through the center line and to the front until we get to the up position and finally to the contact on the other side. So see how this black leg right here, which is the left leg, goes down, then passes over, goes up, and then contacts the ground. And then the exact same thing happens, but on the other side. This leg that just crossed over is now going to be our support leg to propel the right leg forward, pass it, go up, and then contact position. Okay? Now, as you can see here, this has already been timed for us. I know that this is a 20 frame walk cycle. Usually a walk cycle varies in between 24, 20 sometimes, all the way to 35, 36 frames. That's usually the speed at which we walk. You're going to have like a full cycle in about that time. If you want like a really fast cycle, you're probably going to go to like 20, 22. If you want a little bit of a slower cycle, then you're probably going to go to 30, 35, 36. You can, of course, change it as much as you want, but that's the general rule of thumb. Now, some people like to go to each specific frame and just do the pose on your character. I'm not going to do that because if I do that, I'm just going to be copying this and I don't want to show you that. I want to show you the method that I normally use for my walk cycles, which does involve these positions, but not on that specific time, and you'll see why. So I'm going to go to my first pose. And one thing that you can see here is that they created this sort of like wave that goes through the height of the character. You can see that the character goes down, then a little bit up, and then really up, and then back to like a basic frame. So we need to position our character on the basic frame of reference. I'm gonna have something like this, a little bit low here. I'm gonna grab my right foot. You can see that the right foot is forward, so I'm gonna grab my right foot and I'm gonna rotate it so that we create this contact position. Like this. A little bit of a bend on the knee. I never like having, especially when we're using IKs, I never like having everything like be completely stretched out because it gives you this very mechanical look. And now this one right here, I'm just gonna move back. We're gonna rotate as well. Remember, like a little bit of a bend there. And then here on the controllers, we have this toe roll that we can use to create like this sort of like 90-degree effect back here. There we go. So this right here is my main pose. I'm gonna grab this curve, both knees, which are the pull vectors, this guy and this guy, and even this one, which is the stretch and squash. We're gonna use it later. I'm just gonna create a set. So create set, quick select set, and let's call this walker. Let me go into our, let's cancel. I'm gonna go into our element here. So again, edit or create set, quick select set. I'm just gonna call it walker. And I know that this quick select set is the one that we need. It didn't add the button, don't worry. Select, quick select set, and you can just press Control Shift and click to add the walker element right here. There we go. So we just hit S on the first frame. Now here's where a lot of my students make the mistake. They will rush and they will try to go all the way to frame 25. And they will like, oh, I already have the timing. Let's just place this guy on frame 25 and that's it. No, don't do that. Not yet. I'm just gonna go to frame 3. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit S. So now we have the first and the final pose. Now the second pose should be this exact same pose, but on the other side, right? With the opposite leg. So I'm just gonna grab this crystal and I'm just gonna position this in such a way that it matches as close as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but as close as possible to the crystal behind it. Now, of course, I'm gonna do a little bit of a toe roll to bring this guy up. Let's just move this guy a little bit lower. There we go. Then I'm gonna grab the blue crystal. I'm gonna move it forward. We'll rotate it, of course. Whoop. And we're gonna get rid of the toe roll because we don't want that. And we can very easily check if I go into frame 1. I can check how much of a difference I have in between the elements. Again, it doesn't really matter if they're not perfect. Actually, having a little bit of an asymmetrical step is good because it gives the character a little bit more life. But if you want to be like super perfect, of course, you could just like copy the values here and just paste them on the other side. Make sure there's no... Oh, wait, no. Actually, we did need that one. I thought that was rotation. Make sure there's no extra rotations. Right now, we're just rotating on the x-axis, okay? So, there we go. Very easily, we have the first, the second, and the third pose. Now, what I'm going to do, I need to make sure that all of the elements have keyframes on all of the poses. So, just hit the walker selection here and just S, S, and S to make sure that all of the elements have the one that we need. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this pose 2 and 3 with shift, and I'm just gonna move it 1 space, and then I'm gonna grab the pose 4 and move it 1 space. So now we have a space in between this one right here, okay, which would be, if we take a look at our chart, the most important pose right here is the passing position. That's why I love this pose, because it's the most important one. Now there's one thing that I did forget about my walking cycle, and that's the fact that as I mentioned, when you walk, we're actually throwing our body forward. So I'm gonna go to my frame 1. I'm just gonna push this guy a little bit forward, and I'm gonna rotate this so that it looks like he's actually on a stride right there. As you can see, this really doesn't change much, so I'm just gonna copy and paste this on the other ones, and we got this. So it's just a little bit of an inclination. You can see it on the guy right here. He's slightly rotated forward so that it looks like he's actually like moving forward, not like a robot, but actually like pushing his whole body forward. Now we grab all of the elements again. And I'm just gonna grab this 2 frames right here, move them 1 frame, and then this frame right here, move it 1 more frame. And if we go to frame 2, that's gonna be a little bit easier to organize everything. So the first passing position, as you can see here, what's gonna happen is this foot right here, the right foot, will be completely on the ground, completely flat on the ground, no rotation at the toe roll. And this foot right here, the left foot, will be passing. Right? So it will be crossing like this. So it's kind of like, you see this like almost 90-degree bend here on the character. Very important. And it's similar to what we've seen with the tail and stuff. You're going to have this thing like going back. Some people like to add a little bit of toe roll to the other side like this. Kind of like leaving the floor behind. And of course, for this to look very, very nice, we need to bring this character up, because as you can see on the passing position is when the character starts going a little bit up. So I would expect him to be slightly like this. Okay, so we got contact, passing, contact, contact, passing, contact. Okay, I'm gonna go here, save this pose, and now we're gonna go to frame, or to pose 4 in this case. Grab the other crystal, which in this case is the blue one, bring it down, get rid of the toe roll, grab this guy, bring it down, bring the toe roll to the other side. This guy right here is also gonna go up. How up? Well, I can go to frame 2 and just copy that frame on this guy right here with middle mouse click. So again, let me show you that again. So I know that frame 2 has the proper height, and I want to have this same height over here. So I'm just gonna grab this guy right here, middle mouse click on frame 4 and hit S. And that way we just transfer that information into this frame right here. Now we go to frame 2 and we go back to frame 4. You can see that this is what we want. So this is where the crystal is supposed to be. And that means that this guy definitely needs to rotate, move a little bit forward like this. And now we can check, and yeah, they look pretty similar. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's the first poses that we have here on our walk cycle. We got the contact positions, and we got the passing positions. Very, very nice. And even if you do a little bit of a scrub right here, you're already gonna be seeing this sort of effect where the character is nicely walking. Now what I'm gonna do is, of course, I'm gonna save before anything bad happens. So let's save this as a walk cycle. There we go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab all of the elements, make sure that all of them have a nice keyframe set on all of the frames. So when we see the graph editor, everything has a nice keyframe there. And we're gonna grab all of the frames from frame 2, give them one more space, and then all of the frames from frame 5 and 6, give it one more frame. And the next important part is the down position, which is our anticipation. Remember, we always need to have some sort of anticipation in our animations to make sure that people understand what's going to happen. So the cool thing about this is, since we already set up this guy and this guy, the anticipation is going to be really clean. See how the rig is already kind of telling us what he wants. So he wants to go down, because I can see that this guy right here is about to do this transition there. So I'm going to go to frame 2, grab this guy and just rotate it down and bring it back a little bit. Not that much, just a little bit, something like this, because I know that he's going to slide back on the next frame. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now, another important thing that I know is that this guy is going to go down. So I'm going to have a little bit of a down position here. There we go. And then middle mouse click frame 5 to make sure that we have the same height there. So it's 1, 2, 3. That means, as you can see from frame 1 to 2, there's really not but that much of a change. Let's push him a little bit lower. And then again, middle mouse click to frame 5 and copy that pose. So we got 1, 2, 3. And that little change there, the fact that he's gonna like really change heights, that's also gonna allow me to sell the walk cycle properly. Now you can see here that on the down position, this guy right here is just like preparing for the passing position. Some people like to just use the toe roll to kind of keep this right there, so that the little tip is doing that sort of effect. We can try that, or we can just like keep it completely straight and do this. So you can see right there. We're not gonna push it forward or backwards. We're gonna keep it exactly there, because he's just gonna do this movement there. And that's it. So just grab all of these guys here, S. Now we go to frame 5 and we need to do the exact same thing, but on the opposite side. So this guy is gonna land and he's gonna move back. How much back? Well, we can of course check with this. That seems to be good. And then this guy is gonna get rid of the toe roll and he's gonna move, yeah, roughly about there. So you can see the changes very, very simple, because we already transferred the height of the character, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, which is our contact again. And again, if we do a quick scrub, you can see how this character is starting to look like he's actually walking. Now we just need one more pose, which is the up position. So for the up position, I'm gonna go to frame 4, which is the next contact. Just gonna grab all of these frames, move it one frame to the other side. Very important, very important. Make sure you select all of the curves. We want to move everything. So frame 4 goes one more frame, and frame 8 also goes one more frame. Because here is where we're gonna have our up position. From the passing position to the up position. And as you can see on the up position, what's going to happen is this guy is going to like rotate a little bit so that we get this little jump. We're going to bring this guy up. We can bring this guy back a little bit and rotate it so we get this little jump. And then the foot here, the one that's doing the passing position, is probably going to get rid of the toe roll. And he's just moving forward. He's just like, it's kind of like a small kick that's moving forward to finish the step. Because from here, we're going to jump into the contact like this. Okay, so from here, up, it's down position, or sorry, passing position, up position, and then contact position. So we're going to go here, do the same thing. We need to, of course, grab this guy. Middle mouse click to transfer the height. There we go. Now this guy needs to go a little bit forward or backwards. Move this guy up. This guy gets rid of the toe roll. And he's going to be moving forward. Kind of like, again, it's kind of like doing a knee strike, right? So 4, 8, probably a little bit further. 4, there we go. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, going back onto our basic passing position. If I were to reduce my timeline to only 9 frames and play this out, you're gonna see that he looks like he's running. Probably the frame rate on the video is a little bit low, but you should be able to see the transition there nicely. Here's where the cool trick happens, and here's the reason why I like to do this method in the way that I show you. Instead of going to the specific frame and getting distracted by all the interpolation, I like to do this first, then increase my time frame to 40 frames, for instance, grab all the curves, grab all of the keys here, and I'm gonna scale them, something that I don't think we've done before. So I'm gonna press this outer edges here, outer arrows. I'm just gonna scale this animation until we hit about 30 frames, so something like there. Now, if we take a look at the walk cycle, look how this looks. Very nice, right? Very soft, very flowy. Like all of the poses are doing a very nice effect. And we get this very cool interpolation. And the reason I like to scale all of this first is because if I see that the walk cycle is a little bit slow, no problem. Just grab all of these things, crunch it a little bit lower, let's say 23 frames, and now the walk cycle is going to be a little bit faster. Or let's say I need my character to be really slow, like he's walking on the moon or something. Let's just scale this all the way up to 52 frames. And now the walk cycle is going to be really slow, okay? So by doing the poses first and the timing last, I'm going to be able to adjust the timing to to the specific things that I need. In my case, I think I'm going to go for like 30 frames or something. I feel like that's a very like casual, like relaxed walk cycle. Now, the only problem with this thing is that by doing this scaling that I just did, now my frames are not exactly aligned to the specific frame that they're representing. So for instance, this one right here, it's right in the middle of the frame 29. You can see it right there. It's not actually like on the actual like keyframe. If we go into the graph editor and we check like any of these crystals, like this last 29 frame, you're gonna see that this is actually at 29.69. And that's not what we want. So how do we fix this? Very simple. We just grab all of these guys, right click, and we hit snap. And what snap will do is it will snap the keyframes to the closest full keyframe. That way, this guy, for instance, is at frame 30, this is at frame 26. Now, you might see that the distance between the frames might no longer be exactly equal. We had it equal at first, but now, thanks to the scale, things might shift a little bit. However, the general feel of your animation shouldn't change. Like you should still see the whole thing flowing in a very nice manner right there. And again, as we saw in the last video, in the IKFK video, we can do an infinite cycle here. So I'm just going to grab all of the curves here, grab all of them, and I'm just going to say curves pre-infinite cycle. I just need, I actually wanted to do the post-infinity cycle. And I can go into view and I can see infinity, and you can see how the cycle just continues. So if I were to increase this to 200 frames and just hit play, we're gonna get this completely finished walk cycle. Now this is not completely finished. It's just a way to say, right? And the reason why this is not completely finished is because this walk cycle right here, needs a little bit more polish, and I want to show you a couple more tools on how to actually make him move forward, because right now he's just walking in place. But even walking in place, this already looks very, very nice. It looks very what's the word, very soft, very smooth. You don't see any like weird click or anything, so we're in a very, very good position. In the next video, guys, we're gonna be polishing this guy. We're gonna be adding a little bit of squash and stretch, and I'll show you how to make him move throughout the scene. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.